So recently I bought the latest Saints Row out of desperation to play something new this year. As far as gaming goes, this has been the driest year for me ever, as most of the games I was actually looking forward to got delayed till next year, like Stalker 2 or Starfield. And I don't care how good everyone says Elden Ring is, I don't play Souls games. It's not my cup of piss personally. So I'll just, stick with Skyrim. Thank you very much.
Hey, watch it!
What have you done?
The only game I'm still looking forward to that actually comes out this year is Modern Warfare 2, but seeing as it's still 2 months away, I figured I'd get my hands on the new Saints Row for shits and giggles. Before I get too far into this, I'd like to point out that I played every Saints Row game since childhood. I love the series a lot, but I and many other fans of it have had to watch it steadily decline since the second game in the series, although I still like 3 a lot, just putting that out there. That being said, I must say I have enjoyed this game so far. As contrary to what everybody's been saying, I've had a bit of fun with it. I've put around 30 hours into it so far, and I've seen it getting a lot of hate over some very valid criticisms, might I add. But I thought I'd throw my hat into the ring and give you all my impressions of it. So without further ado, let's get into this.
Sorry about not being able to connect the other day. A whole lot of people tried to kill me, so I had to, murder the shit out of them, and, well, time got away from me.
It happens.
The gameplay is fairly standard for the most part. Gunplay is pretty much the same as it's always been in every other Saints Row game. You can perform takedowns like in 3 and 4, but they are considerably more tame than the takedowns in those games. Combat is just like, well, as I said before, any of the other Saints Row games. You fight large groups of enemies with an assortment of weapons, either on foot or in a vehicle, and that's it. It hasn't really been expanded upon in any meaningful way, and that's honestly not a bad thing per se. The guns, from what I can tell, are weapons returning from older games, like these 2 submachine guns from Saints Row 3, or this shotgun from Saints Row 2. I haven't seen anything too wacky or crazy so far, like in 3 or 4, although they may just be waiting further in the game than I am currently, so who knows. An addition to the game I actually really do enjoy is the ability to finally customize your weapons however you see fit, and that goes for colors or patterns or whatever. Unfortunately, you can't add any attachments or anything to it or, make it look too crazy, but you can pretty much customize it to look a certain way, however way you want it to look. And honestly, I kind of like that. It's about time we got that in this Saints Row game, if you ask me. Driving is simple and actually a bit improved in my opinion. The driving in the other games always seemed a little floaty to me, or too sensitive at times. But here it's pretty smooth and basic for the most part. As far as melee combat goes, it could have been better. You kind of just beat on enemies until they drop like a sack of fucking rocks, and there's not really any cool animations or anything like that. Not like in 2, where you had like cool death animations with the swords and stuff, or at least not that I've seen so far. The takedowns are kind of weird this time around. They're mainly used to regain health for some reason, which is interesting because in the previous games it wasn't like that at all. It works okay, but I think they should have had more varied takedowns if they were going to go this route. Once you've seen one enough times, it's kind of just meh at that point. The other games didn't really rely on them, and certainly not for health, so it was okay to not use them if you got bored of them after a while. You could just go on and shoot some dudes, and that was pretty much it. You didn't have to use the takedowns at all if you didn't want to. But here you were kind of forced to use them, which is not all that great, if you ask me. They've kind of tried to spice things up a bit with this new skill thing they've got going on, kind of like superpowers from 4, but way less fun. They're unique things that you can throw or do to an enemy, but they're not all that useful in my opinion. Out of all the ones I got, only a handful were actually worth a crap and helped. The others were just kind of useless, like the smoke bomb bullshit. They also kind of fucked with the perk system for some reason. Now it's a system where you have to select certain perks you unlock, and you can only have 2 active at a time, which is really stupid if you ask me. Saints Row 3 had the perfect perk system in my opinion, where you could simply get them all as you progress through the game, and by the end basically making you goddamn Rambo once you had them all. But in this one, most of them are kind of pointless and like I said, you can only have 2. And 2 specifically in the different tiers. So they've got multiple tiers and you can only put 2 perks in each tier. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel as fun or cool if you ask me. Another addition I really enjoy is the ability to finally customize your look wherever you want from your phone. And this includes everything from clothes to how your face or body looks. I think it's a neat addition, something that could have been in previous games but wasn't for whatever reason, and I like the fact that they added it finally. Although I would like to point out, I do think the customization in this game, specifically the clothing, is a little lacking. I went to the store that I like going to a lot in the other Saints Row, Leather and Lace, mainly because they have a lot of the biker outfits in there and whatnot. And I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of barren in there with not that many options to choose from. Going back to a game like Saints Row 3, where in the Leather and Lace in that game, there was tons of options. So it's really underwhelming to see that they really don't have that many clothing options this time around, unfortunately, or at least not that I can tell. Now we get to the real crux of the issue of this game for me personally, the characters. The characters are not good. I remember reading a comment on one of the trailers for this game that said that these guys were the type of people that the real Saints would bully, and that statement is 100% true. When it comes to the characters, this statement sums up everything I think about them.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions on why they made a lot of decisions they did for these characters and why they went this direction. They're all pretty bland and not interesting for the most part, especially when compared to the crew everyone actually loves. I get that it's a reboot and all, but the characters like Johnny Gat, Shondi, and Pierce are what a lot of people, myself included, really liked about the Saints Row games. These guys can't even compare. Not only that, but I can't relate to them or feel sympathetic to them. They oftentimes just come off as unmature frat party boys that are just trying to make a name for themselves. If you were hoping for an authentic Saints Row crew, this ain't it, Chief.
You're next.
Wait, what?
Sorry about that.
The story is also pretty weak in my opinion. Without going into spoilers, it revolves around them just trying to make a name for themselves, becoming their own enterprise or whatever, by making the Saints a thing. But it all happens really fast, without any time to flesh out the characters or traits, or even why they're really doing it. So they go around pushing the other gangs out of their respective territories in a bid to rule the city. But it's something we've already seen in the previous games, only that they did it way better, and this just feels underdeveloped. If you do actually want to play this game, you should probably skip this part, this little segment here, because I am going to talk about a spoiler, but it's nothing super huge or major, so if you don't care, then, just keep watching. But there's this part specifically where you're on this train doing this giant heist, and they've been hyping up this one gang leader, Sergio or whatever, to basically be this big bad boss for you to fight. And, this whole time, while playing this game, I was expecting to, I'm just going to fight him and kill him, just like in all the other Saints Row games. But they totally don't do that. They just have this other guy come in and kill him for you. And I'm not going to lie, even though having the boss fight would have been kind of stupid anyway, I think that hyping him up so much and then just having this guy come in and kill him for you is kind of a letdown, in my opinion. It makes no sense, and honestly, it's taking away more content that the player can, play and do, and I don't know why they chose to do this, but if they were going to do that to begin with, why have him in the game in the first place? It just makes no fucking sense if you're just going to do it that way, and I don't know. Now back to something a bit more positive, the missions. These missions, while nothing new, were pretty fun in my opinion. They have these new LARP missions, which I had a blast doing and thought they were pretty unique for the most part. Other side missions include the basics like insurance fraud, which is always fun to me, and some new ones like toxic waste disposal, which I thought was cool. It was fun to me to try to get back to the waste building while trying not to spill any of the toxic waste. I mean, it was fun to me anyway. They have this new Battle Hill thing, which is just like Professor Genki's minigames from 3, but it's nowhere near as fun in my opinion. There's these new kind of assassination mission types you can do for small amounts of money here and there, but they are varied and kind of fun to do in my opinion, though if you get bored of them you can just go do something else. As far as campaign missions go, they are decent. There's this one where you get to drag a guy in a porta potty around the city until he tells you what you need. And I had a ton of fun doing this. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of that footage because I started recording after. Sorry. All in all, though, the missions are not that bad, but I can see how they might get repetitive after a while. Graphically speaking, the game looks okay, I suppose. It's nothing too fantastic or anything like that. One of the issues I had was textures not loading in properly, which honestly gave me Postal 3 vibes, combined with the desert atmosphere. And honestly, if you know anything about Postal 3, that's never a good sign.
So there I was, my first day of serving and protecting. Yep, I was the law.
What in the goddamn?
Finally, we have the enemies in difficulty. They're really just basic for the most part, nothing too special. They have these weird mini-boss guys that come in and fight with the minions, but they are more or less just a nuisance rather than a real threat. Not like the brutes from 3, which would actually kill you if you weren't careful. The enemies are nothing special, to be honest, although I would like to point out that I do enjoy the designs of some of these enemies, especially the martial ones. They got this kind of tactical cowboy look going on. I think it looks pretty cool for the most part. As far as difficulty goes, this game is super easy. I'd say the easiest in the series. I played on the second hardest difficulty, as per usual with most games these days, and have only died once, and that was from my own doing. I kind of fell off a cliff. The other games were challenging at times, but this one just isn't. So if you're hoping for, something other than your average challenging game, then sorry, this ain't it. All in all, this game is nowhere near perfect, and while I've had some fun with it, it's clearly not the same game everybody was hoping for, and certainly not the one I was hoping for. It's sad to say, because honestly, deep down, I think I was kind of hoping that this game would be something fantastic, just like Saints Row 1, 2, and 3, but it just isn't. But if you're hurting for a game like I was though, and you're just looking for something to play, give you some, minor fun here and there, I'd pick it up, give it a try. It's definitely not for everyone, and I definitely understand why people are upset with it. For me personally, I'd give this game, I'd give it a 2 out of 5. It's not fantastic, but it's definitely not the worst thing I've ever played either. I've certainly played worse in my life, and you can just go play Aliens Colonial Marines to see that for yourself.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. Send me a kiss by wire. Baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me. Then you'll be left alone. Oh, baby, telephone and tell me I'm your own.
With that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed me giving my thoughts on this game. This is kind of like a game review, I guess. My first time really doing something like this, so I hope you all enjoyed it. And I will see you guys next time. Later.